Hi, this is Annemarie from Teacher to Teacher Help. In today's video, I'd like to share with you a tool for assessing your students' engagement levels in reading. So the tool that I'm going to share with you is an engagement inventory. And I first learned about an engagement inventory years ago when I read Jen Saravallo's book, Teaching Reading in Small Groups. So Jen Saravallo talks a lot about engagement in all of her books. And I just want to read this one quote. It says, "Engagement in reading has been found to be the most powerful instructional activity for fostering reading growth." Now, I think we would all agree with that, but do we actually spend time focusing on engagement and thinking about engagement as an actual skill area in reading? I know that after I started reading Jen Saravallo's books, I really started to focus on what am I doing with engagement? Am I actually teaching it? So any instructional move or activity or strategy that's worth teaching means that we need to have ways to assess or gather information about how our students are doing. So I love the engagement inventory because it gives you a quick class at a glance look at where your students are with their engagement during independent reading. So let me show you a copy of one that I adapted from Jen Saravallo's. So here you'll see this chart, and it's a pretty simple chart. All you do is put your students' names down the left-hand side and then decide on how, in an independent reading session, how often you want to check in on students. And you can put the time here, and you can put, the number of minutes, however you'd like to use that. And then I put a code on the bottom. Now this code here, you don't have to use these, you could make up your own. In fact, Jen Saravallo said she originally didn't start out with a code. She would look around at her students and at those specific moments, ask, what are the students doing? And these are some of the things that she noticed, and I've adapted it from that. So maybe I see that the student is engaged in their reading, and I just put a check mark there. Maybe they're looking out the window. Maybe every time I look at them, they just look up at me. So each time they're looking someplace else, they are disengaging from their reading. Maybe they are reacting to the text, and I can tell that by just a smile on their face or a little giggle that they make. Maybe they are jotting in a writer's notebook or adding a sticky note. So I can just use this code to add some of those noticings. I'm talking to you about this for reading, but really you can do the same thing for writing. So what happens after you gather this information, either over a class period or over maybe you just do it each day for a week or once a week, but you start to notice patterns. And when you see that there's a student that is always looking at you every time you look at them, this is not something to be used for punitive purposes. Instead, it's to look for patterns. So if you notice that happening over and over again, then it becomes a conversation, maybe even a small group that you form. So you notice that you have 3 students who are constantly disengaged and not in the flow of reading when you look at them. So you pull them together and say, what's getting in the way? It could be that the book is too hard. It could be that the book isn't interesting to them. So again, it becomes a conversation. It's an if-then. If it's this, then. So if the book is too hard, then I need to help students select more just right books. If the book isn't interesting, then I need to get to know my readers and find out what they would be interested in. So I love this tool for just looking across the entire class, getting a class at a glance. But you can also, as you get to know your readers, use it with just a small number of students. So if you have students that are pretty well on their way with their engagement, then maybe you just want to zoom in on a few of them. So try it out. Let me know how this goes for you. And by all means, adapt it. You don't need to use my exact codes here. And if you'd like a copy of mine, I will link it in the show notes below. If you'd like a copy of mine, I will put it in the description below.